thanking Fiona for her introduction, and Emily, what's your name? Tanya, for the fabulous space. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank Jen from Viva, from Picnic
I
Deluxe.
should probably buy a membership because I just keep gate crashing.
I know, that's right. Because we keep on inviting her to come and do the fabulous food, and then she gets to, she's got to stay to clean up. So up again. But we'll just lock you downstairs going, no, you can't watch. And so you can see the amazing expertise that goes into her picnics and her repertoire there. And she does everything that Tanya just said, bar mitzvahs, weddings, the whole thing. So so that's perfect. So thank you to you guys. And thank you to you all for coming along tonight. I know the traffic was a bit bad and things were happening in the Bay. Seems like there's a bit of drama and things going on. But it's good to get out and talk to everybody. So welcome. Tonight we're going to be talking on your spring shake-up. It's spring on Sunday, yay! Apparently the weather's going to turn absolute shite for the next couple of days. So we're getting that last kick up the bum from winter. But Sunday's going to be a beautiful day, so that'll be the first day that you can sort of get into these tips and tools and help you get going. So it's very perfect timing, I think. But I thought, because some of you I do know, some of you I don't know, that I'd give you a bit of an overview of how I came to be, why is it that I can get up here and talk about wellbeing? Who the hell do I think I am? Why did I come to the Bay? Which is the story that pretty much all of us have. We've all come from different reasons and different backgrounds. So this is me. I put pictures in there because it's just easier to sort of talk to the pictures. But the first one there are some beautiful little baby birds. So my career started off as an agricultural scientist. I love animals, so I wanted to be a vet. As you know, the marks to get into Sydney Uni are horrendous, and you had to spend 7 years at uni. So I went, okay, next option, let's go ag science and animals that way. So I graduated specialising in marketing and PR. So I had 10 years in the ag industry, and my last role there was working for the Walmart company. And the Walmart company were making all the Olympic uniforms for the Sydney 2000 Olympics. So that was a fantastic way to end my agricultural career, because then they moved offices and I moved somewhere else. And I thought, what is it that I love to do in most of the world? I love to travel. I'm going to go back to school and get a diploma in travel and tourism. So that's what I did. Came out with that diploma, then started working in the backpacking industry with YHA. I then did the marketing for Magnetic Island up off Townsville. I moved to the US and did, I don't know if anyone knows about the historic Jamestown and Williamsburg and everything over in the US, so I worked there. Came back to Australia and then worked for Canberra Tourism. And yes, marketing Canberra is quite hard as a tourism destination. However, it's more than porn and politicians and roundabouts. Fireworks, that's pyrotechnics, that was it. Yeah. Porn, polys and pyrotechnics is the one to it, although there are lots of roundabouts. So my husband's in the Defence Forces, so he's in the Army, so we do tend to move around a bit, which is why, I've had this sort of varied career. But from Canberra we moved up to Brisbane, and that's when the GFC hit. So a job that would normally be quite easy for me to get, like with Brisbane Tourism or Queensland Tourism, there was like 200 people applying. And I thought, I got this for a joke, I'm going to, I love to organise, I love to get in there and to declutter. I'm actually going to go back to school again and get a diploma in interior design. So I did that, went back to school. Then also got training as a professional organiser and started up a business which is this one over here, domestic downsizing, declutter, design and food trade. So I would go into people's homes, I would help them to declutter, I would help them to get organised, I would help them to do styling using their own bits and pieces from around the house rather than buying stuff in, because I just help them to declutter. And I also help them with the energy in the house with feng shui. So, and that's the placement of furniture and the movement of chi throughout the house. So it's sort of an all-purpose service there. And towards the end of my time in Brisbane, I was actually, where are those birds? There's one there in the room. Just up there. They're laughing at me. Stop it. Rude. But towards the end of my business there, I was actually working with hoarders, so helping with government departments and helping with social workers, with people who were going to lose their house or lose their children, like you see on the TV shows, having to help people in the boarding situation, which is a whole other echelon of helping people to declutter. So, but anyway, then I moved to the US again. My husband's lucky enough to get 2 postings to the US. And while I was over there, I got into the animal welfare side of things because I would always been a volunteer with a group called Animals Asia that look after the moon bears that get in their bile milked. And they asked me to come on board and be their US media and PR person. So I was doing that over there in the US, and then when I came back to Australia, I actually joined the Australian Crime Foundation. That's when things took a bit of a turn. So I don't know if anyone has had a narcissistic boss or had a narcissistic relationship or had someone who just managed to erode everything in your life very, very quickly and very easily. But I'd never been in a situation like this before. I knew what the word narcissist was, but I didn't know what it meant until I was in that relationship myself. So pretty much in a nutshell, it came to a point where I just had to quit on the spot. And I had to go and have a bit of mental stress time. And that's when I got talking to some people who had done a Master's in Wellbeing. It's actually my sister-in-law, Master's in Wellbeing done at RMIT. And she said, I think you'd be really good at this, and this is a topic that was of interest. So then I went back to school again, because I always go back to school, and I got a diploma in Positive Psychology and Wellbeing, hence the new business. So I started up that business, and then lo and behold, my husband and I were just travelling down from Brisbane. We thought we'd be in Brisbane forever. Travelling down to Brisbane to Sydney, where we're from, for Christmas one. It was only a couple of years ago. And we stopped in Nelson Bay just for a cuppa, just to have a bit of a break from the drive. And we were sitting there, down at the marina there going, wouldn't this be a lovely place to retire to one day? One day, when we're old and grey and looking to retire. 6 months later, he was offered a job at the RAF base. So be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. I didn't even have to put it on the vision board, it just popped up. So within, I think, 2 months of that happening, we just came down for a bit of a look at houses. Accidentally found one straight away, and then I had to move down while he was still in Brisbane. I had to move down here. And on the weekend that I moved down here, the wellness centre at 1 Mile opened up. So the wellness centre Port Stephens opened up. And I thought, hallelujah, how cool is that? It's the perfect spot for me with my new business. And so off I went. I became a practitioner there. So I did positive psychology consultations, I did professional organising consultations, I did a process of energy blocking called access bars on the head, I did workshops. And this is where I met so many lovely people, such as Linda and Fiona and Cheryl. And who else did I meet there? Oh, and yes, and you too, Kelly. So through that collaboration, which is what I'm going to be talking about today, you can go in as a person who you think, oh, we might be in competition with each other, but in fact we're not. We formed really close bonds out there at the Wellness Centre, and we were there as a holistic service to locals and visitors alike. So it was the perfect time for me, because it gave me a great way of meeting people, but also that first 12 months, we were all working together for the greater good of Port Stephens, so it was a really nice way to start. And now I've struck out on my own. However, some of the practitioners still like to work together. So myself, Fiona and Cheryl, we formed a little partnership, and we were doing workshops as well. You might have heard of one we just did recently. It was called Wellbeing Secrets from Around the World. So we were looking at the countries of Denmark with Ruga. We were looking at the simplicity of the Japanese lifestyle and longevity, and also the island of Sardinia. So Sardinia has the longest living men in the whole of the world. They all, just about all of them live to over 100. And as we know, normally the women outlive men in most places, but not in Sardinia. So that was some workshops that we just did recently. But from there, that's how I came to be kicking my heels up here in Port Stephens. So that's a little bit about me and how I came to be on the scene. But today we're talking about ways to get our business brain, give it a boost this spring. And with stress, as I mentioned before, with having the narcissistic boss and sort of, you don't know you're under stress half the time until something happens. And there's little triggers and signs to look out for. So you really have to look at what's happening in your own life and how you handle stress. So I know some people put on weight, some people lose weight, You can feel your energy is just totally zapped. You just don't have that motivation to do anything. You don't sleep very well. When you do sleep, you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning going, oh, there's so many things I've got to worry about. Just your focus of the whole day, it's just all about the job. As soon as you wake up in the morning, you're thinking about your job. As soon as you go to sleep at night, you're thinking about your job. It's always constantly on your mind. I know I'm getting stressed when I get these little lumps. I have to talk to you about it, Linda, but I don't have them at the moment. But it's sort of like acne, but not quite. And I get these little lumps on my face, and apparently that's a sign of stress. You'll find you'll quickly pick up a cold, and normally you wouldn't pick up a cold, and then you have trouble, getting rid of that cold. And even just those awful muscles that you get in your neck when you're sort of hunched over because you're so stressed, you can just feel that coming on. So they're the main sorts of different ways you can tell you're under stress. But the idea is to recognise what ones affect you, and then as soon as that starts happening, that's when you have to take a step back and go, okay, something needs to be done. Because if something's not done, that's when anxiety can pop in. That's when anxiety can lead to depression. So just on that, there's when you sort of hear those two terms bandied around quite a bit, anxiety, depression, whatnot. So anxiety is when you're stressed and you can feel that you're starting to get down and you can't sort of get rid of it, but it's because of a certain situation. So once you've sort of worked through that situation, then you can come out the other side. Depression is when you get anxiety and it lasts for more than 2 weeks and you just start getting into that downhill slide. So depression is different to anxiety. Anxiety is like, it's a temporary condition, whereas depression is long-term, and that's when you really have to start looking at professional help, because once you're on that slippery slope, it can sometimes take a bit longer to turn around. So it's good to nip it in the bud first. Like I said with the narcissistic boss, as soon as I realised, okay, things are happening here, I've got to stop, otherwise I would have headed down that road as well. So yes, knowing what stresses you out at work, but take a look at this guy. Who doesn't want to be this guy? So not only would you not love to be him every day, waking up and yay, but imagine having him in your office. Every day you turn up and there's smiling Barry going, hey, would you like a cup of coffee and everything? You can feel your mood rise just by looking at his face and his smile. So the whole idea about tonight was some tips and strategies to get you feeling more like Happy Harry. I'll call him Harry rather than Barry. Happy Harry. Be happy. Okay, so guess what? The first strategy is exactly what you're doing tonight. It's getting out and meeting people, getting out and connecting, getting out and learning from the guest speaker, getting out and finding out what's happening in the Bay with other businesses. Hello, come on in. What's happening with other businesses, how we can refer each other, how we can support each other. Because again, we're in a smaller regional area, so we need to be supporting each other. So making sure that we, when we hear, you see on Facebook all the time, people are saying, oh, can someone recommend a massage therapist, or can someone recommend this or that? There was an instance the other day where on the Real Women page, someone said, can someone recommend a massage therapist? There was over 70, was probably over 100 now, different answers, and hardly any of them were the same. So everybody has their own favourite person that they go to and they like to recommend, and if we can get it out there and refer each other, that's what it's all about. But humans need connection. The big C that I say for the biggest killer of humans is not cancer. It's in fact, connection is not the biggest killer, but connection is what will save. So loneliness is the biggest killer. So if you find that people and society, when you find a husband and wife who have been together forever and ever, and all of a sudden one of them dies, you'll find that the other one will die not long after if they don't have that society or community to connect each other. So connection is very important, and that's what we're doing here. Because working on our own in business, sometimes if we're working, in the home office, we don't get out to see anybody. The only people we might see are the kids or the husband or whoever it is. And we need to get out, especially as women, we need to get out and connect. So, you might recognise some familiar faces there. This was at our Christmas in July speed networking last month in Mavericks. So we were just getting there and sharing details about each other's businesses. The next one, as I just said, it's about supporting each other. We're all in this together. We're in a small regional area. We really need to be supporting local business. So it's great that we've got Salamander with Kmart and everything there and all the big shops, but there's so many other little shops around the bay that we need to be supporting, not just the bay, in all the different villages. An example is another networking event that I went with JC last week. I think it's called Networking Mums in Business, even though I'm not a mum, I'm a third child mum. Yeah, and I happened to sit next to a lady and we got chatting, and she owns a gift shop in the Cinema Mall called Bourbon and Burke. Burbuge Burke. There we go, so Kim. And I said, fantastic, I often go to the movies and I've walked past and, don't take notice of things. But as soon as you know where these local businesses are and you make a connection, then you make a beeline for them and go and support them. So that's why I got these fabulous earrings. They're made of sand. How cool is that? So as soon as I saw them, I went, beach, sand, I'm a beach girl. It just reminded me, as soon as I saw them, it made me feel good. So that's the whole idea. I know Covert Couture, I know the ladies in there, so again, going to the movies seems to be my little neck of the woods. Going to the movies, and every time I go past, I'll just pop in to say hello, buy a pair of pants, buy something else. It's all about keeping all those fabulous small businesses in business, because Nelson Bay and the other villages, Anna Bay is about to get this fantastic 7-day makeover. So we've really got to keep the economy alive, because the money that we share around in the local economy, that's going to stay in the economy. It's not going off to the big chain stores. But also we tend to support each other in the charities, in our local charities that we support. So I know obviously Koalas is one of them. All of us, most of us have kids that are at school that need, that do fundraising as well. We've got churches, we've got sporting groups. So having the local community and keeping the money here supports all our local services as well. So that's another important thing that we can do for keeping our connections going. So catching up with friends. This is sort of a bit of a theme running here for this first lot, because it's that connection. It's the big C, it's the connection. So having friends that we can get together with and just, we can vent, we can cry, we can laugh, we can share stories, we can give them our challenges, their sounding board. There's a study by one of the universities which says that when you share a challenge with a friend, chances are by the end of that conversation, what you thought was a mountain when you first arrived, you will leave feeling it's like a molehill, because the fact that you have shared it with them and that they have just, they might not have had to say much at all, but the fact that you've got it out there and they've sort of might have given you some new ideas or things like that support, you come away going, I just feel so much better. Men aren't as good as doing that as we are. Women are much better catching up with our friends, whether it's at the bar, whether it's at the cafe or whatnot. But that's another way of discovering things in the bay. If you make it a date with your friends, like JC and I do. So we meet for lunch about once every couple of weeks or 3 weeks or so, and we will pick a different cafe every time, so that way we get to try something new. So when people say, hey, where's the best place to do this, or the view, or whatever, we've got a whole plethora of places that we can go. We really recommend these ones because we've been there, we've met the people, we've made the connections. So that's a good way of getting out there. But friends definitely are high on the list of ways to get your business brain working. But what if you don't have any friends? Never mind, you can chat to strangers. And the good thing about chatting to strangers is that they may become your friends. But I find, even in the line at Aldi, so I'm one of these people that go to Aldi and I buy up my whole weekly shopping with all the fruit and the veggies and take up the whole jolly conveyor belt. And then poor old person at the end comes in with, an apple or a drink. And I always say, come in first, come before me. But it's a great way because you are standing there and half the time there's all these people standing around you. Why not strike up a conversation? Strike up a conversation with people in the cafe. Strike up, because they could become friends, they could be the CEO of some fantastic corporation that you've always wanted to work for, and because you've made the connection to talk to this stranger, you in fact will make a fantastic business development. So,
chatting. One of those spaces people will just start randomly talking to you and drive you up and crazy.
Well, I'm the other one. I'm the one that just randomly talks to everybody and drives my husband crazy. Everybody. But yeah, it really does open your mind. And talking about Audi, and as we've talked to strangers, it goes on to random acts of kindness. So again, when you're in the line at Audi and you've got all your stuff there and the poor old person behind you's got the water bottle, you just let them in front. Just one little act of kindness. They go, thank you so much. I go, it's a pleasure. The checkout chick goes, isn't that lovely? And she thanks me as well. Everyone, there's 3 people then who have walked away feeling, one little act of kindness, everyone's feeling great. So it's always good for your a great mood booster. It's great for your self-esteem because you're still, good about yourself. That's pretty cool. And they don't have to be big things, just something like that. Letting someone, when I lived in America and you go to Starbucks, they were always paying for the person behind. So you go to get coffee and they go, oh, that person in front has already bought your coffee for you. And you go, wow. And you wouldn't know who it is because they've gone over there. So then you would say, okay, I'm going to buy for the next person behind me. So all through the day, the person in front was buying for you. You didn't have to buy for the other person, but you're paying it forward. So keeping the act of kindness going. And that was quite a common thing. So as long as you weren't buying up a whole someone's meal or whatever. No, but it's the point of it. So another act of kindness I remember when I was a brownie. Is anyone else a brownie? Remember brownies? Yeah. We were always doing acts of kindness because that was part of the creed, the brownie law. And one of the things we used to do was go to the nursing homes and read to some of the people in the nursing homes. And we got joy out of it. The nursing home folks obviously got joy out of it, but then the nursing home folks would start telling us stories about when they were growing up and when they were little. And so you had that connection there, and that beautiful sharing the stories. But that goes on to my next one, which is volunteering. So as we've heard, we've got the koalas here represented. So this is me, obviously, with my little furry friend. You can't hold koalas in New South Wales, you can only hold them in Queensland, because in Queensland we pretty much had all these lax laws, you can pretty much do what you wanted. So you won't be popping down to the koala sanctuary and hanging on to young Billy here or anything like that. But volunteering is a fantastic opportunity to, again, get out to the community, help, meet new people, and have that altruism, I can never say that word, altruism, which is pretty much, the beauty of paying it forward and kindness. And here we have us girls here, Port Stephens Women in Business. We're all volunteers. You can join committees of different things. You can, there's all these opportunities like with the marine parks, marine rescue, SES, what was that?
The ball.
No, that's just us lot. Depending on your different, your interests. So again, at schools, they're always looking for people at schools to come and help out, sporting clubs, volunteering. But volunteering is a big part of that. And one of the ones we have in this area, a lot of charity shops, because we have a high population of retirees that are coming in who have downsized their home. There's a lot of furniture and things that they're donating to charities, so we end up with a lot of charity shops. And that's going on to my next one of decluttering. Is declutter and organise your office. So this is a fantastic way to get your business brain a great boost, because if you're sitting there, and this is scientific studies, if you're sitting there trying to concentrate on your laptop and you've got these other things in your peripheral vision, your brain's going, what's that over there? What's that there? What's that other corner of my eye? If there's anything in that area, your brain finds it hard to focus on the task at hand. So just having that clear desk, having that clear area, makes a hell of a lot of difference to your focus and to your concentration. With that, having said that, so when I say organise your office, there are 4 main styles of organising. One is a minimalistic look, so you don't like anything anywhere, it sort of stresses you out if there's things on show. The other is opposite to that, where you need to have everything on show, you can't have things put away. So I'm a combination of that one. The other one is it's in here somewhere. So I don't know if any of you had like university professors, you'd go into their offices and it was just like piles of paperwork and crap everywhere, and you would say to the professor, where's the report from 1975, World Trade thing? Here it is, and they'd be able to pull it out of the stack because that's how their brain worked. And then there's other people who have to have everything in its allotted space. They were the people in the office who had their name printed on their stapler. They had, and weren't trying to say, went into the drawer and the stapler wasn't there. Everything had to be put back in its place because that's the way their brain works. So I'm a combination of everything in its place, because I get antsy if, the car keys aren't in the bowl or whatever, and a combination of I have to be looking at my piles of paper. So I'll have my desk clear, but whatever I'm working on at the time, like at the moment the ball, because there's paperwork for that going everywhere, I have to have it somewhere but visible. I can't put it away in a filing cabinet because I'll forget how to, I'll forget how to do it. Oh, there's no ball paperwork there. I must be finished with the ball. So you have to organise for your own style, otherwise your office is not going to work for you. But that's a whole nother workshop. So moving on from decluttering your office, another big part of that is conquering your, it's not just a to-do list, it's conquering something on your to-do list that is been there forever. So they're the big ticket items. So you might have your everyday to-do list, I've got to do all these different tasks, but on your big whiteboard to-do list, there'll be the learn French, write that book, do a marathon, all sorts of things like that. And when it comes to those sorts of tasks, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So it's about conquering these big items, but by doing it a little bit day by day by day. So I thought I'd sign up for the New York City Marathon because why not? I was running raising money for Animals Asia. I thought, yeah. My husband said you can't do that, which is why I went, now I'm going to, just to prove you wrong. I hadn't run since I was in high school. I didn't know, since a cross-country runner, I didn't know how to run. What did I do? So I had myself 12 months. I thought, first thing I've got to do is buy a pair of shoes. So I bought the pair of shoes, bought the their special tight footwear that, can push the muscles in and make you look so attractive. And then I thought, I'm just going to start by walking. So you have to walk 5 minutes a day. The next day, 10 minutes a day. The next day, 5 minutes walking, 5 minutes running. Until I built up till I was doing 10Ks, 18Ks, etc., etc. So by the time the marathon came around, woo! I was able to run the whole thing, no dramas, apart from always wanting to go to the toilet because that's nerves, but that's part of it. But I managed to achieve that huge goal of running a marathon just by doing the tiny little steps every day. So that's about conquering these sorts of huge items. The next one is waking up an hour earlier. There's actually I had this all worked out where I had every slide, I had like a joining statement that goes from each one. And of course, when you're up here, you totally forget what they are. But the difference between the one before, the conquering an old to-do item or big to-do item, and waking up an hour early, is the fact that that first hour of the day is the perfect time that you would be working on the big to-do items, because that's when the rest of the world is still asleep, everything's quiet, you don't turn on your phone. The last thing you do is turn on your phone. You get either into the office, or if your goal is to be doing something about exercise, you get out there, you get down to walk along the beach in the sunrise. It's about using that time. It's a known fact that the most successful people in the world, especially that book, what is it, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, they get up at 5 o'clock or earlier because they say that is what sets them up for the rest of the day, gets them productive, gets their energy flowing. Mark Wahlberg, he gets up at 2 o'clock in the morning so he can go pump iron down at the gym for a couple of hours before then he does his prayer and meditation, before he starts learning his lines before. So obviously he goes to bed, what?
He should come here.
Well, he should, shouldn't he? Well, that would be good. That'll get the people coming.
Yeah, been 24 hours.
It's 2 o'clock in the morning. So I don't know what time he goes to bed, but normally these successful people do go to bed earlier, so they're still getting their 8 hours. So that's an important point to note. But the one thing that, like I did say before, you're getting up that hour early, don't turn on your digital devices. Don't look at your phone, because as soon as you do that, your brain goes, oh, email there from thing, oh, that means I've got to do that, oh, there's that thing I've got to do, oh, on Facebook, and then we just saw the person at Salamander, oh, isn't that bad? And so your brain's already going hell for leather, you've lost your focus, you won't be doing what you've set out to do for that morning. So you just get up and get into it. And the reason why we don't look at our phones is because we need to have a digital detox. And don't we all need that? Yes. Oh, that's a camera though, that's different. It's a known fact that when they say Australians, they didn't say which age demographic, but they say Australians on the whole, 4 to 5 hours a day on their digital devices, whether that's your iPad, your phone, your little watchy thing. And that's all on social media. So they're not in there looking at their calendar or organising appointments or doing their Fitbit or whatever. Its majority of time is social media. So your Facebooks, your Instagrams, your LinkedIn, etc. So that's pretty horrifying when you consider adding all that up. So it's hard, it's an addiction. The phones have been designed with that in mind. They want us to be addicted. They have the sounds, they have the alarms, they have the colours, they have the different designs. Your brain gets used to seeing that. It gets used to seeing all these, fabulous little things on your screen. So then after a while, when you haven't looked at it, your brain goes, oh, when are we going to go back and look at that thing? There might be a tick there and there might be a smiley and someone might have commented and you haven't seen. So it's actually an addiction that your brain does need, like any other addiction. So the way you overcome that addiction is the same way you do others as well. It could be like smoking where you just go cold turkey, but that's not going to happen. So I suggest like a slow and steady way. So every time you might go out walking the dog or something, you just leave the phone behind. Apart from me who takes a photo every day walking the dog, so that's different. Going back to, I know some people who have got rid of their smartphones and just gone back to those old flip phones that are just used for calls and texts because it was just taking over too much of their life. We could go back to having a camera like in the olden days and taking photos that way so we don't need to have it on us all the time. But I know when I go out of the house and I go somewhere, if I haven't got my phone on me, I go into a little panic. I go, I haven't got my phone, that means I don't have the map, I don't know where I'm going, I don't have my, just in case something goes wrong, I can't call anybody. Or what if I see the perfect photo and I don't have my camera? That's the main concern. So it's about getting over those feeds that we need from our brain to get into the detox state. Now, what was the, I was going to say, that's what it was. Okay. This worked out perfectly. So, another way of getting off your phone is to travel to areas where your phone doesn't work, and then you can't be helped but not be on your phone. So, it's somewhere where there's no Wi-Fi or any cell service or mobile service, and one of those places is Boat Harbour. So if you want to have a bit of a digital detox, there you go, koala sanctuary. Nothing works there. You're in the dead zone. Pop down and go and have a look at some whales. Go and do a bit of whale watching. Your phone's not going to work. You can take the photos and post them later, but you know your phone's not going to pretty much work down there. So you can't help but just enjoy the time. My husband and I go camping quite a bit, and we go out into the never. And a lot of the times in regional areas, your phone is like on one bar, nothing works. And it's great because once you know your phone doesn't work, you don't have any implication then to even look at it. You don't, no impulse, it's just not there. So that was why it comes on to being a tourist in your own hometown. So doing the whale watching while you're down at Boat Harbour. Again, it's supporting local businesses, but again, it's also getting out there and seeing what we do have in our local area. It's great for our brains to try something new. It's great to get out there and see what's on offer with our free things. So we've got free, we've got bushwalking, we've got bike trails, you can pop on your scuba gear and go down to Fly Point. Well, not scuba gear, but your goggles and things. We've got all these beautiful parks and beaches and barbecues that we can take advantage of. That costs us nothing to get out there and share. If it's a paid thing, so if you want to give it a go and try the sandboarding or try any of the other plethora of things like the camels or whatnot, always ask for a locals discount, because what they want is for the slower times where people, the tourists aren't here, they want to have the locals come and use their facilities. So if you say, hey, I'm a local, do you have a discount? Because next time you've got visitors, guess what? You'll already know about them and you're going to bring your visitors to them. This is when you do need your phone, because when you are doing all these fabulous things around Port Stephens, do take photos and do share on social media, encouraging other people to do the same. I take photos every morning. Those that know me know I do morning walks with the pooch and sunset walks with the pooch. Every time I take my dog for a walk, I take a photo of the sun rising over Salamander Bay and the sun setting over, Karua Bay, whatever's on the other side of Soldiers Point. And that way people get to see, you know, the difference around the world they get to see, but people get to see what beautiful spots they are first thing in the morning and maybe for a barbecue or a picnic in the evening. So you want to share these experiences with other people, and again, it's about supporting local business, but it's again getting out there and experience what we've got in our own hometown. And while you're out there, like I said, take photos, share them. It's about, we have such natural beauty here. I mean, Port Stephens is just full of so many opportunities. We've got Mount Chomaree that you can climb and look down and see the whales and the dolphins. Not many places in the world you can do that for free. We've just got the beautiful bay with the beautiful waters of, Shoaley or Fingal. I mean, those waters are just so blue, it's just amazing. And when I post them on Facebook and people, from around the world going, you live in paradise. It's like, well, yes, we do. So take advantage of that. Get your brain defragged from all the stuff that we're doing and just get out there and take photos around the neighbourhood and spend time in nature. So again, like I said, we've got all the fantastic areas that we can use, but there's a lot of scientific evidence for, by the way, these are the books I put together with my photos. So when I go taking photos of my sunsets and sunrises, etc., I go and put them in a book so that I can relive them later, because it's all about, as soon as you see that, you go, I remember that night, or look at that sunset, or whatever it is. So it's great for your brain to be, so you can come and have a look. And these are, you can buy these off Blurb, I think it is. They cost too much for me to produce and then do, but yeah, you can buy them off Blurb. It's a great little thing. But back to nature. So, listen to all this. So first off, I was listening to a podcast during the week, and a lady came on and she was talking about those housing commission flats that you get in Sydney and Melbourne where it's all just concrete, they don't have any green space, versus ones that do have green space, and the difference between the people that were living there, the difference in their stress levels, the difference in the way that they communicate with each other and how they get through in life. And she said one particular thing, she said, being in nature is like taking a multivitamin, because everything you get from nature, you're getting something from it. So here we go. It improves short-term memory. It reduces stress. It has a calming effect on our brains. Even if it's just for 5 minutes a day, this is. It gets the blood flowing, it gets the heart pumping. The vitamin D from the sun, it strengthens the immune system, strengthens the bones, reduces the risk of cancer, type 1 diabetes and multiple sclerosis. So getting out into nature helps to reduce the risks of these. It improves our sleep because of the melatonin. So getting our correct levels of melatonin helps us to sleep. It reduces inflammation, which can lead to depression and cancer and autoimmune diseases. Pretty much getting out into nature is like the cure-all for everything if we want to keep ourselves in the healthy state. And that's not just body state, it's mental state as well. So we live in paradise, we just have to get out there and get into it. Oh, there's some more. Improves our vision, because if we're taking a break from the screen, we're not always looking at our screen. Because with kids, they're showing now, I have a higher rate of myopia because they're always looking at their screen. So they're you'd know about this, Fiona. So the muscles are being weaker because they're not looking to distances. They're not strengthening those long distance muscles. They've got these ones. What do you call these? Short distance. Short, myopia, yeah. Short-sighted. So they're saying get your kids out away from the screens as much as possible as well, and get them looking at further away things to improve their eyesight. And it's the same with us as we get older. We've got to get away from the screens and get out looking into the distance. And of course, getting out to nature is almost like a form of meditation. You're just being mindful, you're getting away from all the everyday stresses of life. When I take my dog for a walk, in the mornings, I could have had the worst sleep ever. And I'll wake up going, oh God, and there's all these worries going on in my head and whatnot. And then I take the dog down to that water. Whoa, it's like magic. It just all flows away because you realise you're just this small little bod in this vast universe, and you're just watching the sunrise over the water, and you realise I mean, really, are things really that bad? And so it really puts things in perspective when you're stressed out, just being in nature and seeing the beauty of Mother Nature. Obviously, being in nature, there's all sorts of colours and smells and sounds, and maybe the grass will stand under your feet. And this is what gets our creative juices flowing, because we're seeing all these great stimuli. So that's when our brains start going, oh, I'm so inspired by being out in nature. Let's go and do something about it. Let's go paint a picture. Or do like I do, supporting local businesses once again, popping down to the Salamander Bay Recycling Centre and looking at some of the things on option there, and then getting some ideas, some creative ideas about what we can do. So rather, because I'm a declutterer, I don't like to go and buy new things all the time. It's best to upcycle, recycle things that are already in existence, keep them out of the tips. So all I did was get this little beauty, got some sandpaper, sanded it back, a couple of cans of spray paint and some cushions from, they were from Kmart, but in the perfect world I would have supported local small businesses and gone to the gift shops for those ones. And voila, it cost me hardly anything at all, but I had the best time doing it. I spent a whole day just, like Charlie Brown, you always see me, his little tongue sticking out. It was like that. Your mind cannot be stressed and thinking about all your problems. When it's too busy, concentrating on, sanding and getting that perfect spray right and doing the whole thing, you're in the zone. It's what's called flow state. You're in a flow state, all your worries have gone out the window. So that's about getting those creative juices flowing. There's so many opportunities around the bay that Aviva have, I think, the paint and wine night, I forget what they're called. And I know Shoal Bay Country Club have some others as well, where you can get your creative juices flowing, you can have a wine, you can meet new people and connect. It's like a tick, 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 tick from all the different things to help you to get that brain going. So that's one of my favourite things to do. And just when you're at Aviva doing your masterpiece, you might go, hey, I'm not too bad at this. And you might discover that you have a hidden talent. And that could be sailing. It could be anything at all. There's so many things that we could have these hidden talents out. So this is Fiona, she's El Capitan, she's steering the boat there. Cheryl's on the jib, and me, I'm just supervising. No, I am actually on the mainsail there, I'm just not physically on it.
There was totally a beer in that picture. How did you hide your beer? You must have
Oh, no, it was half time. It was half time, and at half time we all have a beer cracked open while the boat does the rest of the work. But did you love the way Cheryl's action shot with her hair coming out? But I didn't know I wanted to learn sailing. I was just, again, taking the dog for a walk. I happened to go down near the boat ramp there. There's this little caravan there, and I popped in and went, oh, is this like a driver reviver? And the little old ladies went there drinking wine, and I went, obviously not. And they said, no, we're the starting gun for the sailing club. Would you like to come along? The club's open at 3:30. Come on in and have a look. So I went in there, and before you know it, I'm on an all-girl crew that we do Wednesday afternoons, and I learned all about sailing. I learned about the wind. I learned about how you can read the waves. I learned about how a catamaran, you can't just turn, you have to go all the way. I learned all these different things from the skipper. And, I hadn't sailed a little craft since I was, back again, being a brownie, back in those days. So your brain is just going, oh, something new, this is fantastic, and keeping on top of it and learning new skills. A big one of these, it'd be learning French, like I'm doing at the moment, attempting to learn French, or learning a musical instrument. So the brain, to learn a new language or to learn a musical instrument, because music is another language, they are some of the harder things we can do, which is great for our brains, obviously getting older. Well, not obviously getting older, I'm not talking on behalf of everyone, I'm on behalf of myself. It's good for our brains to do that. So joining interest groups. So if you've got an interest group, say sailing, and join the sailing club, you learn more from them. If you've got a passion for photography, if you've got, you're learning your French, learning things on your own can sometimes be really hard, and we just need that support from other people to do it. So you might be learning how to play tennis, and then you have someone who's better at it than you, so your tennis is going to improve. Learning your French, if you're just sitting in front of a computer doing the CDs, it's a bit hard. If you've got a French-speaking person in front of you, you are going to learn faster. Photography skills, you could just be starting out just doing your iPhone, going, blip, blip. Someone else comes along and goes, did you know if you do this, it does that? And you're like, I did not know that. So learning from other people, because everybody has different levels of skills. and it's just a great way of, again, connecting, getting out there, and instant friends because you've already got that in common. I like photography. Well, so do I, funnily enough, and we're all here together to do it. So it's a great way of meeting people around the Bay. I don't know if you've got any meetup groups in the Bay. They were really big in Brisbane where I was. So any sort of thing you had, knitting, making pots, any sort of thing like that, we had a meetup group for that. Savoring. So moving on from what we were talking about, getting into the flow. Savoring is sort of like mindfulness. So you often hear a lot of things about mindfulness. So mindfulness is being aware of what's going on around us, but the good and the bad. So you could be taking note of, oh, there's a lot of rubbish over here, or there's something going on, oh, but then that's good as well. So mindfulness is just being aware of everything. Whereas savouring is concentrating on the good parts of life. So you're really wanting to savouring those good experiences. So a good example of a savouring experience is going on a holiday. So it's the before, the during and the after. So savouring is the anticipation of the holiday. It's when you're going to the travel agent and you're talking about options. It's when you're getting the map out and you're doing routes. It's like when you're on your TripAdvisor and you're working out the best places to stay. That's the anticipation. Your brain's already in holiday mode, going, oh, holiday's coming up. I think I really like the sound of that, and you're already getting excited. So you've already turned your brain on. When you're in the holiday and you're experiencing it, you're there going, wow, look at that architecture. Wow, how fabulous is that food? Wow, what's that new thing? Oh, I have to learn a new language. Oh, it's a new currency. Your brain's going, I love this, and it's taking it all in as well. When you come home and you get your photos and you're sharing them on Facebook and people are commenting going, oh, when I was there with this and you saw that, and you look at your photos, you're reminiscing about the great times you had. So your brain goes, oh, we're there again. Your brain doesn't know that you're planning, that you're in it, or that you've come home. Your brain just goes, you're remembering what happened, you're anticipating, you're remembering you were there. The brain thinks it's the same thing, and so it's just like reliving that holiday over and over and over again. So it's about that savouring experience. But I would like to take you on your own little experience now with a bit of savouring. So can anyone here not eat chocolate? If you can't, well, you can, you just choose not to. Or is there something else from the lovely Picnic Deluxe table that you would like to do this experiment with? Or you could do it up to a point and then, yes, have a look. So everyone just grab a, hands in, just grab a chockey, grab. But don't undo them yet, put them in the back. You have to hold your horses. Doesn't matter if you get two. I won't tell. Oh, sure, okay. Thank you. So this is just a wee little savouring exercise to finish off. Can't do that again. You can pretend. Okay, so everyone's got their chocolate. You all got a chocolate? Okay, just put it in the palm of your hand like so, and just study it. This is all about savouring. So it's looking at the colours, it's looking at the textures, it's looking at the, the different writing on the package. It's about that lovely, it's a lint ball as soon as you see that beautiful red colour. Feel the way. I'm sorry. With your eyes. She's already saved it so much, she's already eaten it in her thoughts. Feel the weight of it in your hand. It's that unmistakable sort of lint feeling. Now, start slowly unwrapping it, just near your ear. As soon as you hear that noise, you know exactly what it is. It's that chocolate, it's that sound. As soon as you go, oh, a little chocolate anticipation, your brain's going, fantastic. So once you've unwrapped it, you've sort of got it sitting there in the wrapper. Now observe the chocolate. Some of them look like little nipples. They've got like little boobs. Some of them are innies, some of them are outies. Give it a smell.
Mine actually does have a nipple.
Yes, what your brain does when it smells that chocolate. Does it remind you of Easter? Does it remind you of a time when you just had someone gave you some chocolates for a special occasion? As soon as our brain smells those smells, it goes back to a time when it remembers. The brain is a marvellous thing, and smell is a really big one that takes us back to happy memories. Okay. Wait. Only a little bit. Just a little. Don't chew it and don't swallow it. Just let it sit in your mouth. So you're just sort of having it sitting on the top of your tongue. Notice the feeling on the tongue, the bit of the taste, and just sort of swirl it around a bit. A bit of a swirl. Because again, your brain's just gone, woohoo! And it's a known fact that the very first bite you take of a chocolate or a cake or whatever it is, your favourite thing, that's the best it's going to be, and after that it's not going to be as good. So the brain goes, yay, and the next one's, yeah, and the next one's, so this first bite is going to be the best one. So now slowly swallow, you probably already swallowed it, but yeah, slowly swallow the chocolate. And focus on the sensations of the chocolate going down your throat and how it feels. And now, depending on how well trained you are, you can have another little nibble and try that same exercise again, or like JC, just shut it up your own. So that is savouring. And if you can do that with anything in your life, that is what the brain appreciates. And it's got to be good things. It's got to be things you enjoy. So you couldn't just be sitting down at the beach, just looking at the water, the way the sun reflects off the ripples of the water, and just sort of get immersed into that experience. We have such bird life here. It's amazing. I wake up every morning to the sounds of, the kookaburras are a bit annoying, but the other birds, there's so many birds here. You can just lie in bed and just listen to those birds. And it's such a relaxing thing for the brain to do. So my parting words are, we live here in Port Stephens. It's a fantastic area to be stress-free because we have the resources, we have the people, very friendly people, we have nature, we have all the different activities, and we have opportunities to connect. So just get out there and do it. And best of luck for spring on Sunday. That's me.